me. Here we go. Welcome, everybody, to our council meeting. City of Mount Pearl, November 30th, 2021. I see nothing outside the kit. I'll entertain a motion, please, for the agenda. Moved by Councillor Locke, seconded by Deputy Mayor Kiley. All in favor? And those opposed? And that motion is carried. Thank you so much. We'll start off with the lands acknowledgement. We begin today's public council meeting by respectfully acknowledging the province of Newfoundland and Labrador as the ancestral homelands of many diverse populations of Indigenous peoples, including the Beothuk, who have contributed to 9,000 years of history on the island of Newfoundland. Today, this province is home to diverse populations of Indigenous and other people. We acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and cultures of the Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Niue. We therefore honor this beautiful land together as we strive for collective healing and true reconciliation. Council public, our meeting 2 weeks ago is before you. Any errors or omissions, please, with regards to the minutes from November 16th, 2021, please quote the item number. Call for motion is moved by Councillor Fry, seconded by Councillor Rice, that we adopt the public council minutes from November 16th. All in favor? Those opposed? And that motion is carried. And I'll call upon council members to speak to any business arising by quoting the agenda, the item number in the previous minutes.
Your worship.
Councillor Antle, please.
Item number 620.
620.
Regarding the guardrail. Just a quick question. Was that adjusted after? Do we have to adjust that? And the second part of that is, will that be adjusted for snow clearing? I had a resident ask me about whether it would be adjusted for snow clearing, or is that okay already?
Director Antle, please.
We've adjusted, yes, Councillor Antle, on one side, so the rail on the side towards Jackman and Barber. We've had an inquiry about on the other side, so we'll have that assessed as well. For winter maintenance, any piles of snow will adjust. There's a winter impact on line of sight at every intersection. So that's a seasonal concern that we deal with for snow clearing removal, and we'll deal with it through our own snow clearing efforts.
Thank you.
Any further commentary from the minutes? All right. Looking at the agenda, the next item here, we have no business arising further. We have no proclamations, no correspondence. The Community Development Committee, Councillor Lane, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. The first thing we have here is a proposed minimum rear yard to accommodate a covered stair wall at 20 Branch Drive, DA 21-0280. So the committee recommends that a variance for the reduction in the required minimum 8-meter rear yard depth. As you can see here, Council, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Lane and seconded by Councillor Antle. Very similar to the one we did, I believe, 2 weeks ago. And where the neighborhood's not built up, I guess the engagement process has to be modified a little bit. I'll call the question. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? And carried.
Next, we have Mount Pearl winter parking restrictions. So that's December 1st, 2021 to March 31st, 2022. So of course, we're rolling into our winter season. So for the information of the public, residents are advised the following snow clearing regulations and that violators will be fined for non-compliance regulations. So we have the parking ban where no vehicle is permitted to park on any street within the city from December 1st to March 31st each year. Both days inclusive between the hours of 1 a.m. and 8 a.m. No vehicle is permitted to park on any street within the city during a storm and for 12 hours thereafter. Any unattended vehicle parked on any street contrary to these regulations may be removed and impounded at the owner's expense. And no person shall shovel, plow, blow, or cause to be shoveled, plowed, or blown any residue snow from a driveway or parking lot onto any street, carriageway, or sidewalk within the city.
For the information of the public, Councillor, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask the director. This is not about the startup of winter. This is about winter readiness, and sometimes we'll get commentary from, some of our residents wondering why on a day like yesterday, for example, where it was, 10 degrees and sunny, why would we implement a parking ban? Director, why would we implement a parking ban now? And what other things are we doing to prepare for winter?
Thank you, Your Worship. We actually have winter readiness has already started for us. So at Public Works, we have a partial night shift that's in place right now. We have winter supervisors on shift 24/7. So in the evening times, we will get circumstances now that it's icing, it's below zero. So we do have machines operating throughout the evening times as well. And we'll say this right now is the shoulder season. We don't know when we could get snow. Just a couple of weeks ago, we woke up to 5 or 10 centimeters was the forecast. We had 17 centimeters fall. So it can happen at any point in time. So it's about us being ready, enabling us to maneuver our vehicles. And we are, at this point in time, we are ready for winter.
Parking restrictions, I'm thinking about Director Collins there now, can take on two types of enforcement. There's the soft enforcement as we enter this shoulder season for winter. Might we do it differently in January versus when this gets implemented, which is what, Councillor, midnight tonight, isn't it? Where it says December 1st.
Excuse me, Your Worship, yes. Our enforcement team certainly use judgment when they're patrolling, when they see vehicles, depending on the event, time of year. There are a lot of factors that are taken into consideration.
Further discussion to Councillor Lane's introduction. Good timing, and hopefully everybody finds a place for their car. And you're right, Councillor, 1 o'clock, because that's when the enforcement really technically begins. Well played. Back to you, Councillor Lane. Thank you.
Okay, next we have the Lions Club Parade, which is on December 4th, which I'm personally really looking forward to. So for the information of public, the Mount Pearl Lions 66 Santa Claus Parade will take place on Saturday, December 4th through the streets of Mount Pearl. The parade will start at 10 a.m. and will travel down Ruth Avenue and Park Avenue, ending at Mount Pearl Square. So that should be a great event for all. We also have the Christmas tree lighting happening on December 4th. So come along and join Mayor Dave Aker and members of council as we celebrate the festive season on December 4th at 6:30 p.m. at St. David's Park with the annual Christmas tree lighting. There will be live entertainment to enjoy all is bright in Mount Pearl. And please remember to dress warm because we are calling for some cold weather. So I think we're all really looking forward to seeing residents at that event. And next we have the Summit Center Pool. So additional swims during December. For those who love to swim, we have added extra family, public, and parent and taught swims to the pool schedule from December 5th to the 18th. A great activity for the whole family to enjoy. It's time to go swimming. So that's a great addition for sure. And I'm going to pass this over now to Councillor Antle.
Worship. Thank you very much, Councillor Lane. Number 6, there are swimming registrations for January 2020. January 2022 is about to start. For the information of the public, the registration dates for the winter season, January 2022 will start on December 13th for Mount Pearl residents at 5 p.m. and then an open registration for all others starting on Wednesday, December 15th at 5 p.m. So if you want to get in your swimming lessons for your kids, the registration is open. And number 7 is another great occasion. It's that time again, Breakfast with Santa, December the 18th. And it's a few changes this year because of COVID. We're living in COVID times. And to make sure that we're all COVID friendly, this year we'll be selling the seats in tables. And so you'll have to go in your bubble. So it'll be tables of 4s and tables of 6. And you have the pre-booked. All tickets will be pre-sold. And so you can see it in your family or in a bubble. There'll be no single ticket sold. And tickets are sold through Eventbrite and they go on sale 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. And I think there's only 200 seats available, if I remember correctly, and they're going to go quick. So I'd advise anybody, if you want a ticket, you'd better get on site on that line as soon as you possibly can. And we'll see you there, as they say, at the show.
Will there be any pictures taken with Santa?
We certainly will. It'll be very COVID friendly again also, with all appropriate distances as possible. And, you'd have to wear a mask, and I think Director Collins can help out. You'll have to wear a mask and when you're walking around and so forth. And that's for your information. The development permit list for November the 15th to the 26th. That totals for the development permit list, I'm sorry, for 2 there. It's Carrick Engineering and Norman's Contracting, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Antle, seconded by Councillor Lane. Development permits is listed. All in favor? Contrary-minded, and that is carried.
And we have a building occupancy permit list from November the 15th to the 26th for 2021 for $1,211,290. And you can see that in your kit there. The building construction residential totals $1,211,290, and I so move.
It is again moved by Councillor Antle and seconded by Councillor Lane. All in favor? Those opposed? And we've approved that as well. Thank you.
And there's 2 there for your occupancy permit issues, and that's in your kit, and I so move.
Again, moved by Councillors Antle and Lane. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
And that's it for our committee, Your Worship.
That's very good. Thank you. Infrastructure and Public Works, Councillor Fry.
Thank you, Your Worship. First on our agenda this evening is a recommendation for a service contract for sole source. And this is for a Ceresco unit to dehumidified air services. So just to give you some background, the Summit Center Ceresco unit is the main air handling unit for the Summit pools, and it's critical to pool operations. So to ensure optimal operation, endurance, and reliability, it was deemed necessary that the service agreement be put in place, which would have been factory trained service technicians who are able to provide regular routine maintenance and inspections and support, as well as original equipment manufacturing parts for the unit. So the dehumidified air services is the only manufacturer representative in Canada with the factory trained service technicians and the OEM parts supplier. So this is important. The department engaged dehumidified air services to negotiate a sole source multi-year service agreement for the Ceresco unit and to evaluate the critical components of the unit, advising of what critical spare parts and components were required. The contract cost for the initial year is $21,735, HST included, with a 2% increase for each additional contract year. The purchase of the critical spare parts and components required totaled $23,842.80, HST included. And this work was anticipated in 2020 and budgeted for in 2021. So the Infrastructure and Public Works Committee recommends the sole source contract for an initial 3-year term with 2 one-year extensions available if mutually agreed upon by both parties. The contract cost for year 1 is $21,735 HST included, with a 2% increase for each additional contract year, as I mentioned earlier. So the Infrastructure and Public Works Committee also recommends proceeding with the purchase of the list of spare parts as recommended by Dehumidified Air Services at a cost of $23,842.80 HST included, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Fry, seconded by Councillor Rice. Comments, council, any questions? I think you did a great job, by the way, Councillor Fry, explaining why it's a sole source given the circumstances. I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion. All those opposed? And now the motion is carried. Thank you. Apologies.
And I'm going to pass it over to Councillor Rice for the rest of our report.
Thank you, Councillor Fry. Your worship, number 2 on our IPW agenda is H. Neil Windsor Building. This is change order number 1, card access system upgrade for main yard gate. So the contract for the card access upgrade for the depot was awarded to Armor Lock and Safe on July 27, 2021 for the amount of $95,381, HST included. The following change order is submitted for consideration. Change order number 1, upon the installation of the card access system at the depot, it was discovered that the yard rolling gate control system could be integrated into the new system control system. This will eliminate another standalone antiquated access control system. So basically all the system be combined under one card access, which only services the one gate now at the time, the old antiquated system. The new control system will be remotely accessed and secured to the city's internal network, which is really important. The project budget can accommodate this change order. Recommendation from Infrastructure and Public Works Committee recommends the change order number 1 to be approved in the amount of $3,507.50, HST included. I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Rice, second by Councillor Fry. We never like to always see change orders here at the table. Obviously, there was not an issue, but there was a scope change here. I think we did the contract originally based on what we saw was the entrances that were normally controlled by one of our core systems, which was determined to be somewhat antiquated and somewhat not effective at times. But the gate has already been under control, but it wasn't part of that main system. It was a standalone system. So the idea here, Director, is to bring all this together under one so-called umbrella.
You're absolutely correct, Your Worship. This is to integrate the systems to ensure that we have not standalone. It certainly makes it much easier and modernizes our system.
Any other thoughts, council, questions? I'll call the motion on the change order. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you, worship. The next 3 items on our agenda here is for information purposes only. Public Works status updates. Preparation is underway for the 2021 Christmas activities. Winter maintenance are ongoing, doing quite an amount of work up at the depot now, preparing equipment for snow clearing. Capital project status updates, construction, pedestrian underpass repairs, guardrails, guide rails improvements complete, including adjustments to ensure adequate line of sight at the Richard Nolan Drive, Old Placentia Road site underway. I visited that site actually several times, and they did a phenomenal job actually cutting down those posts and pointing them out. And it looks like right now you can pretty well drive by without on 4-way streets. The 4 streets that are coming out into that area, the vision is really good coming back and forth there now. Also, number 3, facilities maintenance status updates. On November the 10th, the city marked 1 full uninterrupted year of heating both the summit pools with recovery heat from the glacier refrigeration plant, meaning that the city has not needed the avail of any supplement electric heaters for 1 entire year. I think this is a phenomenal news.
It is.
And I'll say kudos to all the people who did work on that area up there and getting all the parts in. This was part of the unit, I guess, for the pool and this glacier operation. So really important. And this for information purposes only. And that's the end of our report.
I would say to compliment what you said, Councillor, yes, congratulations, especially to, and I don't want to single at any particular name, but I know the engineering, facilities maintenance, and all those people that work in community development on the operation up there. We're all pretty proud of it. I know Councillor Locke is immensely proud of this, and this was our main goal when we developed the summit in the first place, to lead silver standard. And it's a very financially cost-effective facility to run, and a very ecologically friendly place to exchange heat. And we're all done from there. Any other comments, council? All right, next committee, I see. Yes, please, Councillor Fry.
No, I just want to stress what a big deal this is.
Yeah.
Like, to not have to use electric heat to heat our pools, that's quite a cost savings for the city. And to be able to do it environmentally friendly, that's really a big deal. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware. I mean, for the city to not have to supply any electric heat for an entire year to heat the pools, that's something that we all should be very, very proud of. So just wanted to say that.
I think up to June, Mr. Mayor and Councillor Fry, I think the savings between November and June was at $38,000. So I would anticipate we're probably close to $50,000 in financial savings. But to the mayor's point, it's also the ecological, environmental savings. as well. So,
Recycling here.
Yeah, indeed, it's
agreed.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Great news.
We're going to move to the next committee, and I believe Councillor Locke is speaking first.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I'll take the first three items for our committee report, and then I'll turn it over to Deputy Mayor Kiley. The first for us, Your Worship, are the invoices for approval here. You can see that we have 10 listed, and the total is $642,521.60. And just to highlight a couple there, you can see number 8, the City of St. John's, our regional fire services, came in at $460,626.42. And you can also see we have some invoices there for our St. John's Transportation Commission, our Metrobus Transit Service for October, came in at $94,559.29. And I know Councillor Antle always echoed this when he was chair, that we certainly pay our fair share of our regional services here. So that's the amount, $642,521.60. And I move that these amounts be accepted as presented.
Moved by Councillor Locke and seconded by Deputy Mayor Kiley. Any questions, comments? I'll call the question.
yeah.
Yes, Councillor Rice, please.
Yes, just to stress the point, I guess, of there's a couple in there that are concerning to me regard pricing wise, and I know, I guess, been revisited by other council members as well over the years, but one that really sticks out to me is the St. John's Transportation Commission, the Metrobus one on number 9. I mean, the amount that we're paying out for those fees monthly and quarterly, and I guess on an annual basis, is substantial. And, I'd like to revisit this going forward, is, see if there's other cost saving measures that we can, or even have a conversation, I guess, with Metrobus and City of St. John's, to see if, the fees can be reduced, or they can increase their, their routes or whatever, because we have a lot of people that are in the city that use this service, and, it's really important to them. So just, a point of information for me is actually. Okay.
Well said.
Thanks.
Anything else?
No.
Any action coming out of your comment, Councillor?
No, I'd like for the conversation to go forward to the city, the savings, it seems like everything is increasing all the time. There's always, every time you turn around, you go to a meeting, it's increasing by 8% and 10% and 15%. And we're bearing the brunt of this, the taxpayers of Mount Pearl. So I'd certainly, the next information coming forward, I'd like to see if we can get those prices reduced if we can, if possible.
Just
Councillor Antle and then Deputy Mayor Kiley.
Just on a quick note on that, I
Thank
agree
you.
100% with Councillor Rice. Sorry about that, Mayor. We've been talking about Metrobus for a while. I mean, I think just for Mark's benefit, or Councillor Rice's benefit, we pay $7 a kilometre for Metrobus. And some of these routes, we look at the routes there's not enough riders down those routes. I think we need to take a look at Metrobus as a whole and find out if it's working for us and what it is and what isn't working. And I think that, we asked Councillor Rice what's the next step. I think the next step is to review Metrobus to see how we can make it better for our residents.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor Kiley, please.
Thank you, Worship. And to Councillor Andel's point, and to add on to Councillor Rice's, point of information, I feel like this is an important conversation and something to talk about as we move forward around transportation generally and the effectiveness around what we have with regards to the cost, the resources that we put, and really what are we getting, what is our residents getting out of our transportation system. And I think certainly this opens up an opportunity to look at not only the effectiveness, but there's one thing of recognizing if people are not utilizing a service, why? Certainly transportation is necessary throughout any sort of urban area and Mount Pearl. And as we are looking to attract and encourage young families and diverse individuals and just professionals wanting to look at greener opportunities of moving around our city, and to become active and those sort of things. This is a great opportunity. So I support Councillor Roy's concerns and certainly Councillor Antl's concerns around even the cost, and also additionally looking at, ultimately the effectiveness and revisiting and maybe even revisiting what exactly our residents require from our transportation.
Yeah, well said. I really think it starts, yes, with our residents at the end of the process. And I think, we set goals for ourselves. Quarter 1 was about getting the budget done and orientation for new members of council. We're nearing the end of Quarter 1. Quarter 2, I think you'll see, that it'll be a very busy January, February, March, including a chance to get together and identify some of the strategic decisions we need to make for the next 4 years and beyond for the city. I think that's the likely spot that we talk about it, but good to get the conversation going. Councillor Antle.
Just on a separate note, that's an important topic on Metrobus, but just for the residents, sometimes we hear, when you look at number 9 or number 8, we pay every month to the city of St. John's for fire protection services, $460,000 or thereabouts. The residents have to realize, or the residents should know, we do pay our fair share. The fire department costs us about $5 million a year, and it's going up. It's a service that we're providing as a cost. So we do pay our own way going through with the fire department and Metrobus, and it's important to note that.
Further comments or thoughts? Hearing none, Councillor Fry.
I also wanted to chime in on the Metrobus. Transportation system, public transportation is important to have. And the system that we have right now is clearly not working. It's not effective. And it comes at a high cost. So I would like to look at this a little bit further and see if there's a way we can streamline, instead of meandering through the entire city, maybe just have more direct points of contact. So I know this is for further discussion down the road, but I just wanted to throw my support behind a review of our Metrobus system as well. Actually, I just met with a resident this past week who uses the Metrobus and got some great insight on that. So she suggested that we take a route, park at the village, take Route 22 and go around and see how many people get on, get off, and see how it works. So I'm going to do that. So if you want to join me, we can spend an hour or two on the bus. But no, it's definitely something I look forward to revisiting in the future.
Mayor, if I could just close, since you're going to call the question. We did meet with Metrobus probably a couple of years ago, and they did acknowledge some of the inefficiencies in our route system, and they had a certain distance that they deemed acceptable for riders and where to place the bus stops. But we also discussed at our Corporate Services Committee meeting earlier last month about looking at the whole transit, and to the Deputy Mayor's point, are we getting proper bang for our buck here? But there are alternatives, like some municipalities in mainland Canada do have sort of a on-demand service where a bus will only go down a certain road if they indicate that there's going to be someone picked up, as opposed to us meandering through all the cities. You're burning all this diesel fuel for nothing. So there are options there. And we did in past terms of council, and Mayor will remember this, we did investigate the possibility of having our own internal busing system within Mount Pearl, that we could get our residents around our city, and then perhaps bring the residents to some modal points in the Metrobus system in St. John's. So further work needs to be done there, but we have raised it. So I just want to assure Councillor Rice that It is on our radar at the corporate services level. We have talked about this about 4 weeks ago, and we certainly will take your concerns and considerations back to the table. So thank you for that.
I'll call the question. All in favor
Aye.
and contrary minded, and that motion is carried. Thank you for the good discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. Payment register and purchase card report is up next, number 2 for us. And the following payment register for November 19th to November 24th of 2021 totaled $1,131,488.14. And the purchase card report for September 26th to October 25th of 2021 totaled $303,893.88. And all the data are there for council to peruse. And this is just for the information of our public as well as our council members.
Yes, please.
Thank you. I was just looking through this last evening, actually, and looking at some of the expenditures we have. And the one thing that stood out to me is the number of expenditures we have from Amazon. And I'm just wondering, I know we've talked about this before, and I know quite often we can get things at a cheaper price, but it's not just the financial part of this. It's supporting local wherever possible. And I'm just wondering if this can be top of mind when purchasing rather than using big suppliers like that, if there's an option to support local first, because the local economy depends on that.
Well, our procurement is such that we, we're keepers of the public purse. So, we do have a fair process that we go through, and if we can, I don't know if our taxpayers would be, I totally support local where you can. But, our process to put out our RFPs or look for the vendors for the services and goods, and we opt for the most economical supply there. But I take your point about supporting a local where you can.
Yeah, I didn't realize that process was followed for smaller purchases as well. But yeah, whenever we can do local, if it's within a few dollars, I mean, obviously if it's a big variance, then that's not realistic. But just supporting local, it creates local jobs, and the money stays within the community. So I just wanted to bring that forward.
Fair point.
Deputy Mayor Kiley.
To that point, just something that came to mind as a possibility is, certainly we look at our policies all the time, and in relation to, corporate services, certainly being fiscally responsible. And as Councillor Locke has identified, that we do have a responsibility. I also share your point, Councillor Fry, around absolutely local and recognizing there's also an investment in something when we put it into our own economy that might be above and beyond the budgetary line. I wonder maybe a direction or an exploration could be looking at looking at the policy around procurement, and if there's opportunities that are less risk around the cost and still having a balance of being fiscally conservative within the maybe an identified,
balance, isn't it?
a balance, and maybe identifying where the goalposts are. And if we can meet something within the goalpost where it's fiscally responsible and also local, is there any way we can policy wise maybe think about that? So
And I
that's
think local versus small business needs to be teased out.
absolutely. Yep. That's a good point too.
Yeah, so will we send it back to Corporate Services Committee?
I would be
It's the logical
support that.
landing spot? Sure.
Yep.
Yep.
Valid
All right,
points. Thank you.
Mhm.
No motion required. Any
No.
other comments? All yours, sir.
Okay, the third one for us, your worship, is a tax deferral for low-income earners. Our committee is recommending approval for the following tax deferral. And of course, this is in accordance with our policy for low-income earners. And it's an amount of $1,357.52. And I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Locke, seconded by Deputy Mayor Kiley. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried.
All right, I'll turn it over to the Deputy Mayor. Thank you, your worship.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councillor Locke. Thank you, Your Worship. So we're looking right now at the next three items under our committee. The first one is our 2022 calendar for council, public council meetings. So just identifying here, the committee recommends approving the following, and there's a list there of calendar dates for 2022 public council meeting dates. So just to identify, and I know that folks, the public are not seeing it, but generally what is being proposed here is the Tuesdays, every second Tuesdays, beginning in January on the 11th. Just a few dates that I'll identify where that may not be necessarily the case. Of course, if there's an annual or a annual holiday, we've also identified the Frosty Festival time in which we would just skip one of the dates to ensure that, that we are able to participate and engage as much as possible. There's also some additional dates in December where we take a break during just the holiday time. And in addition to that, everything else would be similarly available as it is, which is online through our viewing purposes. And aside from one date in which December 13th is an identified meeting in which would be televised, and that's traditionally kept for the budget, I would believe, Your Worship. Okay, so other than that, it's kind of what we normally have been doing over the years, but I just wanted to identify some of the places where that wouldn't be the case, and that's for everyone's approval. I motion. Approve again, recommending approval. So I motion that the dates in which we see here.
It has been motioned by Deputy Mayor Kiley, second by Councillor Locke. Any comments or questions? Just circle the Easter one in your thoughts, maybe for later discussion. I don't mean tonight, but you talk about Christmas being a holiday, and I know for some of us that's also a little bit of a break. But we've always managed to work through those other times that have come up, in terms of the calendar and the business of the city. I'll call the question. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. The second one is a very important policy that I'm happy to take from our committee and report upon, and specifically, it's the Corporate Service Economic Committee is recommending to approve the City of Mount Pearl's mandatory vaccination policy. And so I'm just going to just read out in which it states, the city has legislative obligations to ensure the health, safety, and welfare of its employees and elected officials, and to carry out its functions in a way that is responsibly ensures city employees are not exposed to health hazards while working. The City of Mount Pearl is committed to upholding and taking all reasonable steps to meet these obligations. So public health guidance has indicated that vaccination is a key, absolute key element in the protection of individuals against the hazards of COVID-19. So to ensure the continued safety and city of our employees, members of council, and the community, and to maximize COVID-19 vaccination rates among the city employees, effective as of December 17th, 2021, all city employees, members of the council, students, and volunteers, and individuals entering a workplace or city facility for a meeting or event purpose, on its site vendors, suppliers, consultants, stakeholders, and contractors are all required to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 or have an approved medical exemption to report for work, entering the workplace or entering any city facility for a work purpose. Additionally, city employees, members of council, students, volunteers, individuals entering the workplace for a city facility for a meeting or an event purpose, and on-site vendors, suppliers, consultants, stakeholders, and contractors have until December 17th, 2021 to provide proof of vaccination to the city's Division of Human Resources. After December 17th, 2021, any city employees, members of council, students, volunteers, individuals entering into a workplace or city facility for a meeting or event purposes, or on-site vendors, suppliers, consultants, stakeholders, and contractors who have not provided proof of vaccination are deemed non-compliant. So this is a very important policy that we're bringing forward. This is, as it has stated, ensuring the health and safety of all members within our team and our family here at the city, but also our community. And the process, I have to give accolades to the policymakers, to the members of staff who have been a part of this and in rolling this out with regards to consultation, communication, and ensuring that all standards of public health and the safety of our employees have been first and foremost with this policy and with this process. And I'm happy to share it again. It's been ongoing. At the last meeting I attended, I was able to give my vaccination quite easily as a proof of vaccination and be a part of that process as well, along with my colleagues. And as just a personal note, it does feel very safe for myself and good to be acknowledged that the workplace in which we are creating here and ensuring with this policy is keeping it safe for me and my loved ones and those that I work alongside. So thank you very much. So that's just a quick point there. However, I now would wish to motion to approve this policy.
It is moved by Deputy Mayor Kiley, seconded by Councillor Locke. Any questions, council? Seems to be the prudent thing to do. It's not just trendy, it's to keep our loved ones safe. I'll call the question. All in favor and contrary-minded? Motion carried. Thank you.
And our last, but certainly not least, note for our committee, the corporate service, we have a decision note for under our legislation. We are required to certainly make it a note in the minute of any sort of appointment of the clerk, and we'd like to do that at this moment. So Section 68 of the City of Mount Pearl Act states that an appointment of the clerk, the council shall, by a vote of 2 to 3 of the councillors, appoint a city clerk who is to be paid a salary to be fixed by a council. The legislation officer or city clerk's position has been filled since October 5th, I should say, and a vote by council is required to ratify that appointment. And just to give a little bit of background there, in July 2021, council was presented with the details of the legislation officer city clerk position within the office of the chief administrative officer. At the time, it was recognized that the individual of the city clerk role could be assigned responsibility for oversight of the city policy and legislative support, which was identified as a gap in the organizational structure. So with this regard, the position would in essence have 2 roles with the city. The roles would be unique, full scopes of responsibility, independent of one another. To do this position with a dual roles responsibilities and title was created for the legislative officer and city clerk. Insofar as the position was dedicated to the city clerk role, the individual will be responsible for all the activities and legislative duties of the city clerk. Insofar as the position was dedicated to the legislative officer role, the individual would, in addition to those responsibilities, provide legislative high-level policy and administrative support to the organization. The legislative officer role would also be accountable for the policy research and development, the legislative interpretation, and act as a support to the inquiries received under the Access to Information and Protection Privacy Act, the ATIP Act. With that said, we certainly just identify that certain municipalities across the province have followed similar direction and assigned additional roles to the city clerk. In other municipalities, direct positions have been created, example, city clerk and the legislative office. While the position within City Hall are accountable to the CAO, the chief administrative officer, given the city clerk's legislative obligations and the importance of the city clerk's duties, the city clerk must report directly to the CAO on such matters. And as this is a core role of the city's new dual position, the position is placed at the office of the chief administrative office level and has a direct line to the CAO. So the recommendation, another particular point, for matters of policy and interpretation, while the oversight from the reporting of the CAO is a requirement, for efficiency and expediency, a dotted line relationship has been created between the legislative officer and city clerk and the director of corporate services. This will allow This will allow the legislative officer, city clerk, to quickly gain insight and effectively navigate various projects. While the legislative officer role will often interact with other positions within the city to ensure the viability of policies and ascertain the needs of the departments of the projects, having established relationship between the legislative officer and city clerk and the direct corporate services will better ensure that policies matters that are brought before the CEO have a thoroughly considered and present a strong position. So it is a recommendation that in accordance with the Section 68 of the City of Mount Pearl Act, it is recommended that the council fulfill its legislative requirement by voting in the appointment of the legislative officer and city clerk. Oh, and
you
I
so
so
move.
move.
Sorry.
After all that,
That's a
yes,
good
I
one.
so
Yeah,
move.
long one. Yeah, all right. So motion by Deputy Mayor Kiley, seconded by Councillor Locke. So what we're doing here, according to our act, is the city clerk role that's within this particular job. So let's face it, let's be honest. Stacy Pratt is acting in the position since she's been hired, not acting, you were in the position. Ratification is required at this table. Any comments from council before I call the motion? Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All in favor? Contrary-minded and carried. Congratulations, Stacy. So that brings us to an end of the meeting. So we do the round table now, and I think next in turn is Councillor Fry.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a couple of things this evening. This past Thursday was the Mental Health Task Force, Municipal Mental Health Task Force meeting, and the webinar this past week, or for this particular month, was on mental health and wellness practices as a municipal leader. And it was really good. It went over really well. It was presented by Equal Voice. And again, I just wanted to bring this forward to encourage my colleagues and anybody else who may be interested to take in these free webinars that are offered by the Municipal Mental Health Task Force. There's a lot of good work there. I'd also like to remind residents that every Wednesday is a community supper. So if they or anyone that they know may be in need, no questions asked, just it's going to take place at the parking lot of motor vehicle registration. You just go, the Salvation Army truck is there, and meals are sponsored by Coffee Matters, so they're always delicious. So if anybody is looking for a nice hot meal, or anybody that you know of that could use a hot meal, please stop by. That's every Wednesday between 5:30 and 7. As well, I encourage residents to, if you're out shopping and you pass a Salvation Army Christmas kettle, there's a lot of need this time of year. And I know a lot of us have volunteered for it, and it has been so overwhelmingly heartwarming to see the generosity of our residents. And that's something that we're known for. And it's something that we're very, very grateful to have and lucky to have. There's so many things happening now with Christmas. I mean, just looking at the community development report this evening, I mean, so many wonderful things. And I think we also desperately need this after COVID and all the restrictions, and there's still restrictions, but it's nice to see some of these things happening. And this past Saturday, the Connect Club of Mount Pearl held their annual turkey drive. And that is to collect turkeys to assist the food banks with the Christmas hampers. And I know there are over 300 requests. I think it's about 375 requests for Christmas hampers this year in Mount Pearl alone. And that's really a sad statistic to have. So there's a lot of need, and Santa dropped by to support the Kinnett's drive, the Kinnett's turkey drive. So that was fun. So this guy, Santa, he's around a lot and he's seen a lot. But there's also a character for Christmas that we all kind of put aside sometimes, and that's the Grinch.
Oh,
And the Grinch himself is going to be at Piper's tomorrow from 4 o'clock until 8 p.m. That is sponsored by the Mount Pearl Lions Club. So people can go by and meet the Grinch and get a photo taken with him. So don't forget the Grinch. He has a role too.
because the Grinch reminds us of what Christmas is really about at the end of the day, right? And Piper's green and Grinch green seem to just mesh right together, don't they? I mean, that's an ideal location. It's really glad to see Piper's back in Mount Pearl and hosting such an event for, I don't know if this is for young and old, isn't it, Counselor?
I'm going.
There
I
you go.
think it'd be fun.
I'm not answering that.
That's right. And finally, the last thing I wanted to mention is this Tuesday past, we had a meeting with the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary, Inspector Alex Brennan, and our enforcement officers. And I was really pleased to see this. And I appreciate Inspector Brennan and our enforcement officers coming in to speak with us on this. And they're, it's good to see the partnership and things, the initiatives that we're going to work together. We depend on the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary and our enforcement officers to keep our city safe. And with things like speeding and vandalism and hate crimes and bullying, now more than ever is a time that we need. So I'm really happy to see that. And one of the things that stood out to me was when he was talking about statistics. And I find a lot of times people don't report these types of crimes because they figure, well, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to be acted upon. So they don't bother to report it. When in actual fact, I am here to encourage everybody to report any of these instances to the RNC, because that will provide the data necessary to make informed decisions accordingly. So if anybody witnesses or is aware of crimes that are taking place, either vandalism, bullying, speeding, those types of things, I strongly encourage people to call Royal Newfoundland Constabulary 728-8000. And that's it for me this evening, Your Worship.
Yeah, well said. Yeah. Counselor Locke, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a few here for me as well. I'll start off with a couple of congratulations. The first is to Mr. Jim Bolger. We all know Mr. Bolger, and he was named winner of the Mount Pearl Soccer Association Alumni of the Year Award. So I tip my hat to him. Also, our own Brad Gushu, they're going to the Olympics once again. So that's great news. I just want to, again, send out our congratulations there. Also, I want to acknowledge the work of our crews, not city crews, but provincial crews, for the damage that was received down on the West Coast with the washout and all the heavy rainfalls. And as I was watching this on the news, I know we're in the middle of budget here right now, and I know that we have a green lens here at the City of Mount Pearl, and we are also certainly considering climate initiatives as we move forth. But great work done to get those the roads repaired as quickly as possible to make them passable. But it just reminded me how vulnerable we are here in the province with the main the Trans-Canada Highway. But it also reminded me as well how much we have done here, and I know we brought it up here tonight in one of the reports with respect to the energy savings at the Summit Center, and the multitude of initiatives that the City of Mount Pearl has taken and will continue to take to do our part with respect to climate change, be it our urban forestry plan or water management, leak detection, all these things incrementally. While they may seem small individually, they certainly, the cumulative impact can be quite serious. So I'm proud of the work that the city has done, and I'm proud of the work that we're planning moving forward. And the last thing, I just want to extend congratulations to our graduates of senior high. They're having their grad ceremony tomorrow evening. Unfortunately, well, it has to be held at Holy Heart. It's not unfortunate that we're going there. It's very kind of them to accommodate us, but COVID circumstances don't permit us to hold it at the school. And of course, I've been asked to MC the event, and I'm proud to do so. And also just to acknowledge that the city gives out a scholarship every year to our two high schools for their academics. So I'll happily present that tomorrow night as well on behalf of council and our residents. And that is it for me, Your Worship. I thank you.
Thank you, sir. Deputy Mayor Kiley, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a few things to mention tonight. We are right now, actually, November 25th marked the first part of what is known as the Purple Ribbon Campaign. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. On November 25th is when it began. And I'm so proud to say that our city had acknowledged it through lighting up our building with purple lights. But just to talk a little bit about that, because it's always an important part to just acknowledge, well, what is all, when you see purple lights, or what are you talking about for the purple ribbon? Really, what does that mean? And really what that marks is two things. It's the 16 Days Against Gender-Based Violence and the Purple Ribbon Campaign, and it's to help create awareness to prevent male violence against women. The goals of the campaign are to make it unacceptable for violence against women and to make it a topic that can be openly discussed in our province, in our boardrooms, in our kitchen room tables with our families and friends. And really, it's about promoting understanding of the issue of violence against women and encourage all members of public to become involved in efforts to prevent all forms of violence against women. And we're lucky enough within our province to have many community organizations that have observed within our area. We have communities against violence Avalon East. And in fact, they had begun the day with a provincial proclamation signing. And one of our residents, actually, Lisa Lake, was a part of that signing and partook with many other allies, survivors, and community advocates that are raising awareness. But I think it's also incumbent on us when, when Councillor Fry, you're talking about certainly crime and violence, this certainly is a part and parcel of that. It's sometimes when you think about violence against women, not necessarily that is visible, that it's something that for many people, because of stigma, because of shame, and because sometimes it happens behind closed doors, that we don't always see that visually. So it's something that I'll always like to just talk about, and certainly if you have an opportunity to connect with someone in your life or a survivor, to just reach out to them to see how they're doing. The campaign itself is for 16 days. And I do also encourage you to check out social media like the Coalition Against Violence, because almost every day they're posting a resource or an event or acknowledging other things that are happening all across not just our communities here in Newfoundland and Labrador, but throughout Canada. Another event that I want to just acknowledge, which is actually happening today, and in amongst the hustle and bustle, and everyone I'm sure is doing all of the Christmas shopping and going, getting your turkeys, getting everything ready for the big season. That today, in fact, is what is known as Giving Tuesday. And it's a really interesting event that came as not necessarily a counter to, but as, in a response to when you think of Black Friday and all the shopping that happens and those sort of things. This is a day for a global movement for giving and volunteering taking place each year after Black Friday. And this year, Giving Tuesday is happening, today. And it's the opening day of the giving season. It's a time when charities, companies, and individuals join together to rally favorite causes. So I've already seen my fellow colleagues with the kettles of Salvation Armies and Dominions and other places across the Mount Pearl. I've seen multiple posts today on social media from organizations that are participating in Giving Tuesday. And so if you haven't already, or even if you want to take some time this week, is, take that additional step to kind of, as you're giving and thinking about your purchasing and what you want to do for Christmas, is there a part of that you can maybe give out to somebody or an organization that you believe in, or even in-kind volunteering that you want to promote that too. So that's happening as well. I also want to acknowledge that there was some really, our Association for the Arts of Mount Pearl had brightened up the last week of November with some really interesting pop-up creative fun through both a digital, online, and in-person art fusion. And certainly this is an event that has taken place in all forms and sizes throughout the years. And even in amongst kind of our challenges we have with COVID, it was certainly not another week of important events. And I just wanted to thank the organization for creating such an important celebration of art and community, and for the many artists and volunteers that contributed to some of the sewing sessions, some of the painting sessions, and the events that took place. So it was like a nice little beginning to what's going to be a holiday season. The final thing I wanted to identify too is now that we're talking about the holidays, and I'm really so excited, is similar to all of the events that are going to be taking place. I do also want to acknowledge sometimes the holidays can be a difficult time. When we think about the 16 days of activism, or we think about that there's 300 hampers that people are asking for support, that there's most often than not stress sometimes attached. So it could be sometimes a worry attached, trauma attached. And so I want to just acknowledge that that's a completely normal and okay thing for our residents, for those that are struggling. Maybe it's a loved one that has passed, or it's been a difficult year, that there's certainly help out there. And I just wanted to acknowledge Bridge the Gap is an excellent resource and a place in which you can just look at lines between crisis lines that you can call, resources that are out there. And one specific one, Bridge the Gap, is an online.ca, nlbridgethegap.ca is a provincial support line, but it also has an amazing amount of online resources. And one of those is called the Breathing Room. And it's a simple online program that if you're ever feeling overwhelmed, or you're just feeling you need a moment just to just take a moment for yourself, for self-care, it's an incredible program. And a lot of these resources that you see there can just be accessed right from your phone. So whether you're at your desk, or you're in your home, or you're in a place where you just need a little bit of space, I would absolutely recommend it. Thanks, folks.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Next is Councillor Antle.
We're a busy council. By the time it gets around, we're all done. We're all talked out. I only got a couple of things, Your Worship. First one is on November 24th. I think you and I got a chance to meet with Hockey with Heart. The Mount Pearl Minor Hockey got together again, and they finalized their donations. The grand total was $11,000, which they divided the checks amongst the food banks here in Mount Pearl, the two St. Vincent de Paul's, and the Salvation Army. So that was well welcomed $11,000. As Councillor Deputy Mayor Colley talked about the Salvation Army, we're all involved with the kettle appeal now, and if anybody's around, it's always it's one of the fun things to start your season. It's I think we all enjoy to do that. And thank you to Councillor Fry. She just passed on a note that it's quite important. December the 3rd is International Day of Persons with Disabilities. And it's quite an important day here in Newfoundland because our act gets implemented. Our Newfoundland, in the House of Assembly, the Accessibility Act will be implemented on that day also. It's time that we, on this day, we are reminded of a responsibility to better understand people with disabilities and promote the rights and well-being of persons with disabilities in our communities. So we should all remember that. This afternoon, we had the luck or the fortitude, I guess, to have a service awards for our employees here in the city of Mount Pearl. We had a fine crew here this afternoon. I mean, we went from 5 years to 45 years. I mean, that's amazing. 45 years for one company. You just don't hear tell of that anymore. So, our employees certainly make us look good, and we're really lucky to have anybody here that long. I mean, I think we're in great shape, and it was great that we could do that. Councillor Locke talked about the Jim Bulger was the Alumni of the Year with the Mount Pearl Soccer Association. And usually we always have a chance to go to those awards, but I mean, pre-COVID, and we were sitting around doing our budget and finalizing our budget with which we get to present in a very short order, I guess. But I'd like to give congratulations to a few of the residents here in Mount Pearl. Colin Dyer was named the Neil Bodman Youth of the Year. And Colin was also the official of the year. Also, it was great to see that I'm able to do that. Dave Bailey, Youth of Female of the Year, was Bailey Andrews. The Senior Male Athlete of the Year was Russ Noseworthy. The Senior Female Athlete of the Year was Beth Tremblett. The Coach of the Year was Kathy Snowgrove and Dean Blanks. The Alumni of the Year, we all know Jim Bulger quite well. All right. And the Volunteer of the Year was Johnny Andrews. The Achievement Award was Kathy Snellgrove, and the Recognition Award was Peter Jacobs. And the Team of the Year was I'm not going to read all these because it's quite a list, but it's the boys under 15. So congratulations to all the youth. They were quite busy. And that's everything for me, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Rice, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Like Councillor Antle said, we're a busy council in a busy city. So I got a few things here to add. So actually, I'd like to say big congratulations to Mr. Jim Bulger. Know him well, and Brad Gouge also. They're home people here from Mount Pearl, born and raised here. And it's great to see, both of them excelling in the awards that both of them have won. I too would like to say congratulations to the service awards, Mount Pearl staff. 5 years to 45 years. People are just starting out 5 years, and they're looking at people who have been here 45. It's a big incentive for someone looking here and saying, my good Lord, one day that might be me there 45 years from now. Also, I'd like to add in that I'm very privileged actually to be involved with the community supper that Councillor Fry has talked about as well. My turn now is tomorrow night, so I'm looking forward to that as well. And I think last week we served, around 78 people. That's why I heard a number out there, so around 78, which is good. Also, just want to add December the 4th, just to reiterate on the Santa Claus Parade, starting at 10 a.m. and all is bright in the park, tree lighting at 6:30, very, very important. One other item regarding the winter parking ban, I just want to add that the winter parking ban is all streets in Mount Pearl or any owned land in Mount Pearl as well. So people that are working, I guess, parking in parking lots that are city owned or city property is not allowed. And my last one I want to say is I want to be big kudos to Buy Hereby. Mount Pearl Chamber of Commerce and Paradise Chamber of Commerce is pushing this big time. I think, as a council and city, we need to support Buy Hereby. Is a great initiative and it's phenomenal what the work they've been doing. And I certainly support them. And I think that's it for me, Your Worship.
Well, thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Lane.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to add on to what Councillor Rose was saying about the Christmas parade, of course, I'm really looking forward to it as well. But if weather does not cooperate, it will take place on the 5th. Okay, so just to add to that, I also have a couple of things here. I'd like to say good luck to the Mount Pearl skaters, Rachel Tuff and Mark Butt, who will represent the club and province at the 2022 Skate Canada Challenge on December 1st to the 5th in Regina, Saskatchewan. So good luck to them. I would like to say congratulations to Jack Keogh of the Mount Pearl Blades on his selection as Sportscraft Source for the Sports Player of the Week from November 22nd to the 28th. Jack scored 1 goal and added 6 assists for 7 points in 3 games this week. So congratulations, Jack. Congratulations to the O'Donnell boys senior basketball team on taking gold over the weekend at the Wendy's Classic. And my final congratulations of the night is congratulations to our under 15 girls volleyball team from St. Peter's Junior High
Go Pythons.
on taking the gold at the regionals this past weekend in Clarenville. So congratulations. A lot of great things happening here in Mount Pearl as always. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. And a lot of personal things happening too in the city of Mount Pearl. I know yesterday that Miss Betty Hawkins passed away. Many of you may know the business in Mount Pearl known as Hawk Duplicating. The family, I believe, is Rick, Robbie, Kathy, Susan, and Mike Hawkins with Hawk Duplicating. So she passed away. Miss Hawkins worked at Asher's Pharmacy for many years. Some of you or your parents certainly would know her. So I wanted to extend condolences to the Hawkins family. She was the leader of that group up on Normans Avenue, I believe, is where the business is located. So we want to extend our condolences to the family. And I also want to say to the Deputy Mayor, we're thinking about you and family. You've been grieving for a week or more. You've had a tremendous loss in your family. But I do take heart. I can't speak for you, but I do take heart in witnessing the support you have from family and friends. And we stand with you in your moment of need. So welcome back, by the way. And we're thinking about you all the time. Yeah. And on a very more positive note, GGG, go Gushu go. So yes, Brad Gushu brought home the Olympic trials gold medal, but let's not get excited. It's all about the medal coming from the Winter Olympics. I think that's in February coming. So February looks like it's going to be a busy month. Frosty Festival is back on. I hear there's a launch, smaller scale being planned for January. The festival may be somewhat smaller, like many events. But we want to wish the festival committee all the best, as we do the team from Newfoundland and Labrador known as Team Gushu. And on that note, I'm going to call for a motion to adjourn, moved by Councillor Lane and second by Councillor Antle, and we are adjourned.